Hey there! When you think of Asian countries, is there a particular country that pops up in your mind first? For most people, the answer is going to be China. Well, why not? It's one of the oldest nations on the planet, one of the birthplaces of the earliest civilizations. It is huge, it has exciting cuisine and rich culture, and there is a bonus, they have pandas. But from a more political lens, China is also an emerging superpower and has the second largest economy on the planet. Subsequently, China boasts the world's largest military too, at over 2 million active personnel, and just like any other powerful country, China has a few problems of its own. Taiwan is one of them. Today we will be looking at this conflict and why China is so desperate to conquer Taiwan. Stay tuned. The magnanimity of this conflict and the seriousness of the friction between the small island country of Taiwan and the large global power that we call China can be sensed from the fact that Taiwan, despite being a much smaller country, lays claim to virtually all of Chinese territory. On the other hand, China does not even recognize Taiwan and claims the country's island territory as a fundamental part of China. Taiwan, in fact, is not even officially called Taiwan. The country's official name is the Republic of China, and the reason behind this stems from the occurrences of the Chinese Civil War and a little before that. So to understand why China wants to control Taiwan, we need to go back and look deeper into the conflict. The First Sino-Japanese War was won by Japan in 1895. And the Qing government was forced to hand up Taiwan to Japan. Japan surrendered and ceded control of land it had seized from China after World War II. The Republic of China, one of the war's winners, took control of Taiwan with the help of its allies, the United States and the United Kingdom. However, a civil war broke out in China in the following years, and Chiang Kai-shek's armies were defeated by Mao Zedong's communist armies. In 1949, Chiang and the remaining members of his Kuomintang KMT administration fled to Taiwan. For many years, this minority, known as Mainland Chinese and numbering 1.5 million individuals, controlled Taiwanese politics. They formed a provisional capital in Taipei and have since remained claimants to the governance of mainland China that is formally recognized as the People's Republic of China. So the KMT government and its successors, the Taiwanese government, have technically been in self-exile from mainland China and have formed a government on what was formerly part of United China. Basically, this means that China considers the area of Taiwan as a rightful part of its sovereign territory. In fact, as recently as October 2021, Chinese President Xi Jinping announced the reunification of Taiwan with the Chinese state is a key goal of his government. The People's Republic of China has, for that matter, always regarded Taiwan as fundamentally being a Chinese province. Amidst this entire mess, the two countries never really signed a peace treaty ever since the Civil War that drove the Republic of China government into retreat took place. This means the two are practically still at war, even if they are not actively engaged in combat. It has not always been bad, though. In the 1980s, relations between China and Taiwan began to improve. China proposed the one country, two systems concept, in which Taiwan would be granted substantial autonomy in exchange for accepting Chinese reunification. Taiwan declined the offer, although it did ease restrictions on Chinese visitors and investment. It also declared the mainland conflict with the People's Republic of China to be finished in 1991. The emphasis is here on the mainland. This play of words did not conclude that hostilities overall had ceased, just the non-existent ones on mainland China. Anyways, there were also limited negotiations between the two sides' unofficial representatives. However, government-to-government contacts were not possible due to Beijing's stance that Taiwan's Republic of China, the ROC government, was not legitimate. Beijing says Taiwan is bound by the 1992 consensus, an agreement struck between members of the Chinese Communist Party, the CCP, and the Kuomintang KMT, which controlled Taiwan at the time. However, the two parties disagree on the content of this ostensibly agreed-upon agreement, and it was never intended to resolve Taiwan's legal status. The 1992 consensus represents an understanding that the two sides of the strait belong to one China and will work together to pursue national reunification, as Chinese President Xi Jinping has declared. It implies one China, various interpretations for the KMT, with the ROC standing for one China. To frustrate Taiwan into submission, China has repeatedly taken steps to politically isolate the island country. China opposes Taiwan's membership in UN bodies and other international organizations that are limited to nations. Taiwan complains about its absence on a regular basis, while the US advocates for Taiwan's significant involvement in such groups. During the COVID-19 pandemic, Taipei protested against the World Health Organization, the WHO, for caving into Beijing's demands and continuing to ban Taiwan from attending the organization's World Health Assembly as an observer. Despite the fact that Taiwan had mounted one of the most effective pandemic responses in the world, Taiwan's membership in WHO forums was recently asked for by ministers from the group of the G7 countries. These and other similar tactics have led to increased tensions between China and Taiwan. But other than all the historical, political and social reasons as to why China wants to establish its control over Taiwan, there are also a few strategic reasons. China has been rather inactive in power projection through military means. On the contrary, the country uses economic strength to exert influence. For this, the only natural coast for China to its east is the backbone of the international Chinese trade. Taiwan is located 100 miles east of China, on the edge of the South China Sea's maritime routes. To the south, the Philippines are 200 miles away. China's Hainan Island is 700 miles away, and Vietnam and the Spratly Islands are 900 miles away. It is connected to the Ryukyu Islands to the north and is 700 miles from Japan's main islands. Taiwan's strategic location off the coast of China and between Northeast and Southeast Asia has historically served a number of offensive and defensive strategic reasons for regional nations. Taiwan is geographically at the crossroads of most East Asia's dangerous areas in the modern age. Taiwan's strategic location near major choke points also makes it a fertile land for proxies between China and the US. Although the US does not typically side with either party in the China-Taiwan dispute, it is China's political rival in the global theater. In that sense, it makes utmost sense that the US might use Taiwan as a weapon against Chinese influence, with attempts to contain China's economic capability, like a knife hanging over China's head. In this dirty war between the giants, Taiwan might even be a very useful pawn for the US. However, so far, there has been no direct confrontation between the two. With China recently provoking the Taiwanese through air incursions, the US did sell Taiwan weapons worth $750 million. This is an indicator of how useful Taiwan can be as a weapon against China. With historical claims, political ambitions, strategic necessities, and economic interests all fueling the dispute between China and Taiwan, China seems ready just as ever to take action to subdue and engulf the Taiwanese state. So far, Taiwan has been resilient, but China's desperation is becoming more and more apparent with each passing second. And as the cycle continues, animosity leads to further animosity, killing any legitimate reason along the way. Over generations of tense relationships, China and Taiwan have systematically grown to hate one another, each seeking control over the other. China, albeit with an edge in power, seems more interested in dominating Taiwan than vice versa. Well, that is about it. I hope this video was helpful in making you understand why China is so desperately trying to control Taiwan. Leave a like and ask any questions in the comments. Subscribe and hit the bell icon for more. See you next time.